January the 21st, 2015. Guys, you're looking at a website for the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, the U.S. has its counterpart called the Council of Foreign Affairs. We know the history of that, going back to the Rothschilds, the Illuminati. Anyway, notice on the left, the symbol, the menorah, has 6 candles on either side with a center. Now, with a center candle, there's 7. That's the original Israeli symbol. You go back in history, check that out. Now, the new flag has the hexagram, blue hexagram on it, that 6-sided double triangle. And many people, especially in some of the churches today that are kind of going to this one world church stuff that you see, call it the Star of David. But notice here on their website, they don't call it the Star of David. Even they know better. It's called King Solomon's Seal. And if you don't understand this, it's so in, you're going to be deceived. It's so in your face, guys. And that's the way the Illuminati works. Again, you notice here, that's called King Solomon's Seal. Now, what was Solomon notorious for? Unlike King David, he brought in, via his wives from all the nations that he married into, their religions. He built them temples, and he co-worshipped with them. Some of them worshiped Moloch. It was satanic worship. Again, they do not call it King David's Star. They call it King Solomon's Seal. Far from King David. His son, totally different person. Notice it doesn't say King Solomon's Star. It says the seal. Now, there's another seal called the Seal of God, and there's another mark called the Mark of the Beast. Also a seal. That mark can be sealed in your foreheads and what you think. Now, Wikipedia is an example in this case of the common misconception of what we're talking about. Here you see the, again, the hexagram in the right in the flag of Israel. It's called the Flag of Israel. It was adopted on October 28, 1948, 5 months after the establishment of the State of Israel. It depicts a blue hexagram on a white background between 2 horizontal blue stripes. Now, guys, remember, in these Illuminati series Final Solution videos, after World War II, what was the plan? Set up the Israeli state, right? Zionism. That would bring forth the war that would annihilate both Israel and the Muslims. Remember, check out the videos. But it was not adopted to that time. That was not the symbol. The symbol was the menorah. This came in after the Rothschild War. It was the symbol of the first Rothschild bank, which, by the way, the fellow's name was not Rothschild, it was Bauer. Now, his name was changed because, according to information from Bauer to Rothschild, because Rothschild means red shield. And he had a red one, hexagram, on the first bank. But that's where the name supposedly came from, Red Shield, Rothschild. And from that first bank, they went formed the Bank of England all around the world. In Europe, guys, the Federal Reserve. Few countries have held out. Cuba, North Korea are 2 of them that are not dominated by the One World Bank, the Rothschild Bank. But guys, you notice that when Mr. Obama lifted some of the sanctions against Cuba a few weeks ago, and I've got the paragraph copied where he said, we're going to allow y'all to participate in our banking. And so our banks are controlled by the Federal Reserve, so now Cuba will be participating in this mark. But it says, now this goes back to the times I'm talking about. It says the flag was designed for the Zionist movement in 1891. The basic design, called the Ashkenazi talit, the Jewish prayer shawl, which is white with blue stripes. Now, here's where the misconceptions start to move in. It says the symbol in the center represents the Star of David or Magen David. Guys, it does not. Nowhere in the Bible. I want you, if you've got electronic Bibles with search star, just the word star, or Star of David. You will not find them associated. You will find this symbol mentioned a few times. It says it's a Jewish symbol dating from late medieval Prague, which is adopted by the First Zionist Congress in 1897. Guys, the double-headed eagle that you see on the Illuminati symbols of the Masons is also the Prague symbol. Goes back to ancient Samaria. Now, this is just a brief article on it. It kind of helps clear some of this up. But the hexagram is 666, or the sign of Satan, because all the angles add up to 6. There's 6 of every angle. It's 60 degrees as they cross the double triangles. It's all symbolism. But it's the insignia of the globalists, Kabbalism, the Rothschilds, Zionism, the hexagram. Now, the author of this article says at the time of the publication, the six-pointed star, which this is a part of, in the 1980s, these figures were given. Pay attention. 30% of the Jews living in Israel were not religious at all, even atheists. Of the remaining 70%, the majority were religious only formally. We see that a lot today here, don't we, guys? Few were deeply committed. Mr. Graham, that wrote this, himself of Jewish ancestry, now a Christian journalist, writes, "The Jewish almanac does not explain which Jews decided to make the six-pointed star the symbol of Jewry, nor does it state when such a vote took place. Some Jews will have nothing to do with this symbol. Others do not care to check it out. The majority of people do not care less. Some are shocked to learn it's even pagan, but do not think that the matter is important." When this mark of the beast is talked about, I'm going to show you. The number 7, not this number 6, is God's perfect number. That's why they use the 7-candle menorah. Remember the 7 churches in Revelation, and Christ said those are his churches? What was 6? The Antichrist. That's where this video is going. The symbol given to God's chosen race as far back as Exodus is the menorah, or 7-branch candlestick. Read all about the menorah, which played such a vital role in the tabernacle and was placed in the holy place in Exodus 25. You can also see it Kings, Chronicles, New Testament, Matthew, Revelation. And in the Tribulation series, we just covered that again. 7 churches, that was Christ's symbol. That when John saw him, when he was taken up from the island of Patmos, that's what he saw. That was the symbol. Never did they mention a hexagram until they start talking about the mark of the beast. And while I'm here, I want to show you another thing. Again, the hexagram is 666. The hexagram, or six-pointed star, certainly has 3 6s. It contains a 6 within a 6 within a 6. Count the sides of each triangle facing the clockwise direction, the sides facing the counterclockwise direction, and the third 6, the sides of the inner hexagram. I'll show you an image of that. But listen, in Revelation it says, "And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they have no rest, day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." Now, because of Solomon's affiliation with all of the cults and all the different churches that his different wives had, different religions, he became involved with the occult. It's well known, but it says that King Solomon was traditionally known as an magician. And in the History and Practice of Magic, Volume 2, now I haven't read this is in this article, it says the 6-pointed star is called the talisman of Saturn. It is illustrated averse and reverse. The latter is the seal of Solomon. When they're combined, it says the former is the 5-pointed star, commonly called the pentagram. Now, again, the talisman of Saturn. That's all through history, ancient history up until now, that's been related with Satan. Now, let me read from this just a moment. It says, facts about the 6-pointed star. It says it's an amazing background right back into ancient ages. It is forbidden as a symbol by the word of God. Could be the mark of the beast. Now, this is another article, another author. I think it is the mark. It's a symbol of the mark. It says the star was mentioned and condemned by God of Israel in Amos 5:26, and was called by him the star of your god Moloch. or otherwise called Chian. References to Amos 5:26 and the Israelites having it in the wilderness was also made in Acts 7:43. Here it is called the Star of Rephaim. All of these names refer to the god Saturn or Satan. Let's look at those verses.